back in the world of dating. I have my thoughts and I am going to speak from experience. I am not an expert in these areas, but I love to share life stories and life lessons and just some observations that I've made within my own circle of friends and coworkers and family, generational things from my mom and aunts and cousins, all the women in the family. There's a lot of interesting things that can impact a Black woman's ability to date successfully, if that's a good word for that, or effectively, I guess. And one of the things that I consider to be a roadblock or um, an area of opportunity, a challenge, if you will, when it comes to the world of dating is not knowing thyself. And I'll say that again, not knowing yourself, not knowing who you are, what you want, what your true desires are, what you like, what you don't like. I find that when we don't know those things, we'll typically settle for a lot of um, inconsistent behavior from our partners, even inconsistent behavior from ourselves. We'll demand a lot out of that relationship. Will cause a lot of confusion, and we'll also attract the ones that also don't know who they are, the ones that don't know what they're looking for, what they like, what they are interested in, and what their habits and hobbies and things of that nature are. So typically, when women don't know what they want, they attract anything. And that gentleman, guy, sir, babe, boo, whatever you want to call him, he typically matches your energy. So we're talking about 3 months, 6 months, 1 year of straight up drama, chaos. So I would have to say, before you venture out into the world of dating, not knowing who you are and not knowing what your heart desires and what you like, what you don't like, what your non-negotiables are, your boundaries are. If you don't know those things, you're going to be in for one hell of a ride. Let me tell you. So, just speaking from experience, my past relationship, I didn't know who I was. And I feel like everybody goes through that transition in life. Every woman goes through the exploration period where we're trying to figure it out and we're trying to see who we are and how we're going to show up in our relationships, including men. But once you go through that phase, learn. I mean, do an autopsy. I would say that a relationship dies when it's done. I think every woman should do an autopsy to see how did they show up in that situation. What were some triggers? What were some things that brought negative energy? What were some things that impacted your self-esteem? It's just so important to really investigate, be investigative about who you are and how you show up in your own world. And obviously when you're dating or seeing someone else. So first thing I would have to say is know thyself. When you don't know who you are, that can be a roadblock in the world of dating when it comes to Black women. There's so many things that influence us, right? I mean, from fashion to celebrities to gossip to what's happening in our own households, to work. I mean, we have to be so many people and so many things. And that's part of the robot rebel. It's like I'm playing a dual role. There's a duality within my personality. Obviously, when I'm in the workplace, I'm that robot. When I'm outside of that, I'm a rebel. I'm actually being my true self. So I would have to say that it's hard. It's really hard to date someone when you don't know who you are and when you haven't invested in self-discovery and self-awarenesses and understanding where you come from. So, again, who are you? Who are you, women? I'm talking to my sisters out there. I love you guys, all shapes, sizes, colors, walks of life. But I am going to send you a challenge. I'm going to send you a challenge. I want you to take the time, journal it, Post-its, mirror conversations, get a dry erase board. Do something to figure out, where do I need to start? Where do I need to lay the groundwork to really discover who I am, what I like, what I don't like? And it's really that simple. I know I keep saying what I like, what I don't like, but it's that simple. I mean, a lot of times we don't even want to admit the things we don't like. We sit in denial and it causes confusion. And one of my favorite affirmations is act like you know the truth, which comes from Ayala Vazant, my fairy goddess mother. So, we're going to talk about this today, guys. Really interesting topic. What is holding Black women back in the world of dating? We've already talked about the very first thing, not knowing who you are, not knowing yourself, make sure you guys do the work. It's important to know who you are before you date. And one of the first things I threw out from experience is not knowing who you are, not understanding what it is that you like, don't like, your desires, your needs, your behaviors, your patterns, just not understanding truly who you are. That can have a big impact in the world of dating. You'll find yourself attracting like energy. And it can really lead to a world of chaos, uncertainty, and confusion. Doesn't really make for a fun experience of dating. And dating is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be exploratory. So you want to make sure you're as best prepared as possible. If you take the time to really learn who you are and understand, what you're all about, I promise you, it's a painful thing, but it's necessary. Once you kind of get through that painful part of understanding who you are, then you'll be able to kind of coast through life and pop your collar a little bit, put on your gold hoop earrings, rock your red lip, whatever works for you, and really float into a room owning it and demanding those things that you look for, the qualities that you look for within a person, a partner, or a man that you're dating. Whatever it is, whatever your situation is, the more you really finalize and understand, identify, right, who you are as a woman, I'm telling you guys, it's a powerful thing. Like, you're unbothered. Hashtag unbothered. You become an unbothered person and you really can own the room. So I got my producer here, Mark. Mark is in the house, and I actually asked him what his thoughts were when it comes to Black women in the world of dating. What's holding Black women back in the world of dating? And the question that I asked him was, give me one thing you think is holding us Black women back in the world of dating, and tell me why. Just kind of like unpack it a little bit.
Okay, Antres, I think it's this new theoretical female boss movement.
Ooh, boss up.
And, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I don't know what the female boss movement means. It seems like, from a male perspective, it's females being empowered, feeling about themselves, doing everything. But I think you can take that a little bit too far from a perspective where you're walking around with boss shirts and you're walking around with boss hats. Then you start spelling it instead of B-O-S-S, you're spelling it B-A-W-S-E.
Hey, hashtag.
Which is bad grammar.
Woo, you going in, my. Ooh, that mic on fire.
And then, see, I'm not playing with you. And then when you think about it, honestly, in a big picture, I don't want to be a boss. I want to be an owner.
Gotcha. I hear you. So here's what I'll say about that. My response to that is, and thank you for being transparent and open and sharing, I'm not here to beat anybody down, guys. This is a conversation. This is very rebellious and going against the grain, but I want to unpack that for you. I want to help you out with that, Mark. So the whole boss up movement, be a boss and own your own business and be in your own lane and go get them and glow up and level up, all of that, it is a movement, and it's stemming from Black women being in the workplace, being in relationships, being in places where our voices are not respected, where our voices are not heard, where our considerations, thoughts, intelligence is just not recognized or respected. And I can see where in a relationship that may cause a little bit of friction. It may seem as though the woman has lost her femininity. She's lost her ability to be graceful and soft and kind and warm and, loving, and not let a man lead, which is a traditional way of thinking. And you guys know in 2017, we're going into 2020, right? That whole dynamic of tradition is challenging today. It's challenging today. It's going to be challenging tomorrow. And I feel as though a lot of tradition is being challenged today because everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to have a lane. Everybody wants to have a t-shirt line. Everybody wants to have a hashtag. I get that piece of it, but it really comes from a place of self-confidence and empowering women to really go for their dreams and don't settle. So I could see how too much of that can seem a little bit harsh and a little bit too much bravado in that. That kind of makes the relationship challenging for a man, would you say?
To a certain extent, yeah. I think it especially depends on the man's perspective. But again, being a male, having a little bit different perspective.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with you wanting to have a t-shirt line and be your own, have your own business and
Business.
do all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
But it's more so to me, the underlying things that go along with it is
Gotcha.
run your business, do your thing,
Right.
but you running around yelling, "I'm a boss," wearing boss t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're trying to do that, I don't think that anybody else is walking around wearing a boss t-shirt and saying
Mm-hmm.
I'm a boss.
Mm-hmm.
You're just doing it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be a boss,
Do
be a
it in
boss.
silence.
I'm not gonna say silence like you
Mm-hmm.
can't speak, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you to walk around and announce you a
Right.
boss. Just be a boss. Own something.
Gotcha.
People who always have something, they do the least talking. The
Gotcha.
people who don't or trying to get there, they're the ones who are always talking.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I can say that both genders do the same thing. We all kind of have that. Look at what I got. I call it the P Diddy effect. No shade, but everybody plays a role in the boss movement, male, female. I mean, we've seen it in videos. We've seen it in the music. That's just something that might just be cultural. But there has been a new wave of Black women identifying themselves as bosses and just encouraging each other. It's a sisterhood. It's almost maybe that language or that conversation is amongst sisters. Maybe that's more so something for us as for the ladies. But I do hear what you're saying. Be who you are and without shouting it, without yelling it from the mountaintop. But again, it just comes from years and years and years of oppression and years of not being recognized as value added to any situation. So, but thank you so much for pinpointing that out. What is another thing that's holding us back, guys, in the world of dating as Black women? What's holding us back? So, the other thing I have to say is baggage. Baggage, 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 more baggage. You can even look at the way we travel. I mean, we got check luggage, we got a carry-on, we got a purse for the purse, we got a backpack, we got a fanny pack. I mean, we like to have our stuff with us. I helped a girlfriend of mine purge her closet. She's getting ready to transition, turning 31. Shout out to Brittany, love her to death. And I helped her transition into the next phase of her life. I mean, her closet and her bathroom and the pantries and everything was just overloaded with stuff that I felt that she was carrying from year over year, teenage life to the 20s, college. I mean, just a lot of things she was carrying. So I was thinking about that and I was like, dang, do we show up like this in relationships? Like, is this something that we do? Do we carry the weight and the burden of our past relationships or even issues in the workplace into our relationships? So I call it compare despair. We may see a new guy, get to know him, start dating, and we start comparing who he is to the past person we've dated. I would have to say that is a no. You know what I mean? I think you should be aware of who you are and how you showed up and watch your patterns and behaviors. But you don't want to compare one man to the next. It just really puts you at a disadvantage to getting to know this person truly and authentically. So I would have to say baggage and not knowing who you are two big impacts to Black women in this world of dating. Unpack the baggage, throw away what you need to throw away, give to the Goodwill what you need to give, and move on, guys. It's really time to level up in the world of dating. Conversation around what's holding Black women back in the world of dating. Dating can be such a complex thing. I do understand and recognize that. I know that it's not something to take lightly. I think a lot of things kind of contributed to the whole dating process anyway. I think over time, the show Sex and the City really brainwashed Black women at some point. And I guess what I mean by that is it kind of turned into a freebie. One night stands were in, multiple relationships were cool, and spending money that you don't have on the latest name brands was all the rave. So I think a lot of what dating is supposed to be got watered down with that movement of single in the city and sex in the city and cosmopolitans and, all the martinis and the drinks and the heels. And I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, I'm clearly not alone in what I deem to be a huge impact in what has happened to dating. in courting. I don't even think people use the word courting anymore, but proposed a question on Instagram. And you guys can follow me at the Robot Rebel on Instagram, Twitter as well at the Robot Rebel. And the question was, what is holding Black women back in the world of dating? Some interesting answers I got was related to marriage. So it wasn't a lot about dating, but marriage. One of the answers or questions that was actually proposed, the question was, do we feel marriage is underrated in today's society? So change of lane a little bit, but there was one comment that I really, really wanted to share with you guys to see what your thoughts were. I'm definitely going to give you what I thought about the comment. So the person responded and said that marriage would work if women did not tie their self-worth to it. I mean, ding, 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 ding. If I had a sound effect, I would tell Mark to hit the sound effect board, but I don't have one, so I'll just make one up. Ding, 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 ding. I will tell you, in my experience and within my friendships, my circles, honestly, in college, that was like the goal. We treated marriage like a goal, like a thing on a list, like a certificate, like a PhD, like a 7-figure new job, like a new car, tinted windows, buttercream seats. I mean, it was a thing. And what I've seen since then is that marriages within my demographic, millennials coming out of that wave, is that divorce rates are higher than ever within my demographic, the 24 to 35-year-old age demographic. When we first got out of college, those folks that are kind of going into the 36, 37, when we got out of college, it was all about getting married, going to master's school, getting your PhD, just getting all these things on the list, because it was all about looking credible. But it wasn't about being credible. It was like, you got to look the part, because we watched Cosby Show, we watched Living Single, and we watched Different World, and we said that, okay, that's what success is. When she made the comment today that if women didn't tie their self-worth to marriage, marriage would be successful. Man, that's deep. I know for a fact that my friends, and I won't say their names, but my friends definitely feel that a woman's worth is in a marriage, and definitely feel that if you haven't walked down the aisle, something's wrong with you as a woman. And I know a lot of women that look for validation in their relationships, look for validation within their marriage. I had a friend today, like no lie, today at Krog City Market. We were talking about being single. Like, we're both single. She was saying how much she loved being single. It's such a great experience. But when she finds her guy, she wants him to be overly in love with her. She wants him to be thrilled and so interested and just like swarm her with love. I kind of thought about that, and I was thinking to myself, if she would replace him with her, how much more powerful that would be. So what I mean by that is, instead of expecting a guy to come in and sweep you off your feet and make everything well and go above and beyond and pour love on you every single day, make you feel valuable, make you feel important. What if you actually had the power to do that for yourself? That way, once you really love yourself to the fullest extent, you can attract that guy that matches that. You can attract that guy that understands that and gets that. Because a lot of times, I don't think we realize we're asking too much from some of the men we date. I don't think we really understand or recognize that he's not at that level. We're asking for a guy that's about an ounce to pour a gallon. And my question to you guys would be, how do you feel about yourself? Like, how do you feel about yourself truly, wholeheartedly, without the lashes, without the hair popping, without the Jew, right? Without the Jew popping. How do you really feel about yourself? So I could see why the young lady tied self-worth to marriage is like a no-no. It's a doozy. You're setting yourself up. And also she stated that marriage, if we stop treating marriage like a goal and look more for the journey of it, the experience of it, we would have much more successful rates of folks actually staying together, because marriage is actually not a goal. It's a journey. And it's an achievement when you can do the 10 plus, 20 plus, 30 plus years. It's not an achievement to just walk down the aisle or to just get that engagement. So I know we took a little bit of a turn, but I still thought it was value added to the conversation of what's holding Black women back in the world of dating. And gosh, I mean, self-worth, looking for our value in the eyes of another man, looking for who we are in the eyes of another man. That is a dangerous game to play, ladies. And I'm here to save you. I got my cape on. You just can't see it. But I will pop my collar for all the sisters and let you guys know that, listen, it is not a man's job to clean it up, to fix you, to make you whole, to put a smile on your face every single day. You've got to find it within yourself to do it. You've really got to understand that, your self-love and where you're at with that really impacts who walks into your life and really impacts how that relationship is going to be. I just, my heart pours out to the women that are still looking for a man to come in and sweep them off their feet and save them, if you will. I just feel that you have to be the one to figure that out for yourself. And it sounds easy, but guys, it's hard work. It takes real focus and dedication. I know you can do it though, with just a little determination, and definitely check out the blog, therobotrebel.com. I got tools and tips there. And make sure you guys are following me on Instagram and on Twitter, where I give out supportive tools and things of that nature. Relationships is some of the things that we cover, but I want to make sure you guys are good to go. So, great conversation. We'll be back. What is causing, what is holding Black women up in the world of dating? We talked about holding baggage and, keeping on all those old feelings and intentions from past relationships. We talk about how important it is to know who you are, know thyself. And we talked about how important it is to love yourself. Oh, you guys hear that all the time. And it's kind of boring, right? Self-love. Nobody really knows what that is because nobody teaches you that. They teach you how to love others, treat others like you want yourself to be treated, but no one really teaches you how to treat yourself. So I can understand why in your mid 30s, early 30s, that can be a complicated concept or theory. But I promise you it works. Like it really, really works. So you guys can find us on Instagram at The Robot Rebel. You can also find us on Twitter at The Robot Rebel. And please follow the Robot Rebel fan page on Facebook. We talked about some really, really good stuff today. I hope you guys are intrigued, and I hope you guys are really asking yourself some questions, some internal questions. Maybe you'll ask your girlfriend some questions, and don't be afraid to speak up. It's part of being a rebel. Speak up and ask your friends, where do they stand? If they're single, where do they stand in the world of dating? What roadblocks are they having? Like, are we really talking about this within our circle? Are we really diving into what's happening in our dating world? Or are we pretending? Are we flogging? Are we showing up as if we got it all together and all figured out? I promise you guys, we don't. It's not easy. Love yourself, figure out who you are. And while you're doing that, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter and like our Facebook fan page, Rebel Conversations. I am your host, Antres Finney. Make sure you guys join us again, Rebel Conversations. Remember, in all things, act like you know the truth and rebel on. This is Antres Finney with Rebel Conversations. As I break it down for you, merrily, hyper, happy, overjoyed. Please, with all the beats and rhymes my sisters have employed. Slick as me throwing down the sound, totally a yes. Let me state the position. Ladies first, yes? Yes.